The years leading up to and during menopause are a rite of passage. The wise woman inside of us is calling to slow down, to take stock, to speak our truth, to burn away all that no longer serves us, ready for our next cycle of life. The good news is, with the support, community, connection, and most of all, sharing our stories and being truly seen and heard, we will travel through this powerful, sometimes painful, heroine's journey and out the other side. Welcome to the Menopause Podcast, real and raw stories of midlife and mental health. I'm your host, Kylie Patchett, menopause self-care coach and storyteller, and I am so glad you found us. Let's get on with the show. Hello there, beautiful one. It's Kylie here. It's mid-December whilst I'm recording this, and I'm just about to head into a beautiful, spacious month off for summer holidays. And I put together this very special summer series of the podcast where I've chosen 7 of the most impactful of our over 85, isn't that crazy? 85 real raw stories of midlife metamorphosis and mental health and menopause and all things midlife transition points, really. And I've chosen the most impactful episodes, both for me personally, but also the episodes that have tweaked the most response and the most heartfelt messages in my inbox and on my social media, just saying, wow, that really, really hit home. And I just want to celebrate so much for all of us. You know, this midlife portal that we're in, this perimenopause to menopause transition is such a powerful initiation point, and it can feel really hard, absolutely. And it can also be the greatest invitation to heal and to let go and surrender and stake a claim on what we want and really, really step into this next phase of life, being very conscious about what we create and how we tend to ourselves and our own needs. So I want to wish you the most relaxing and restful festive season. And here's to a spacious, quiet, still, conscious step into the new year in 2024. I look forward to coming back with a brand new season for season 3. And in the meantime, I really hope you enjoy this beautiful summer series. Cheerio. I'll be with you soon. I always do a boogie at the beginning of these episodes, but today is an extra special boogie because I have Kate Codrington, who wrote a book that literally changed the way that I viewed menopause. Welcome, Kate. How are you?
I'm very, very well. It's 8 a.m. here in Watford, UK, and
Beautiful.
I have not only jumped up and down, I've eaten breakfast. So I'm winning. Whatever happens today, I'm like,
it's like
I got out of bed and I had a shower and I got dressed and it's 8 o'clock and here I am.
I love it. I love it. I just had such a joy reading through because I got so much out of your book. I don't usually prep too much, but today I felt that I really wanted to give this interview the justice of like feeling into the way that you like even copy on your website and that sort of thing. And you had me laughing out loud multiple times because you said things like, helps you pull your head out of your ass. And I'm like, this chick is my kind of people. So I'm so excited to have you on. I will go into an explanation of what your book has meant to me, but would you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Well, I am in second spring, and for me, that means post-menopause.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm 57. I can no longer remember when I last had a period, and I find myself in a very different country to how I was in menopause and how I was when I was menstruating. And it's a place where I'm more... Okay, I'm going to preface this, but I am messy and chaotic and in pain and running around being a complete idiot all the time. Okay, so there's this kind of fantasy that post-menopause in sort of menstruality circles that you will be fixed in some way. And this is not the case. Okay, so I'm going to preface it with that.
Yes, excellent.
And I'm clearer, I'm more grounded, I'm more compassionate, I would say, resilient, resilient in the best sense, resilient in the sense that my ego isn't so brittle. You know, like people come and kick me in the ass, and I'm also self-pitiful and sorry for myself, but I recover faster.
Oh, that's so good to hear.
Yeah, and I think born out of, and anybody in menopause or perimenopause will recognize this, born out of having less energy, I am much clearer and much more focused on what is helpful for me to do and what is not helpful.
You are speaking my language. I am actually really loving interviewing people on the other side of menopause, because I'm definitely in the messy middle, and hearing very similar things. I think, to me, one of the things that I have developed over the last few months, and partly due to how you write about menopause, is it's the gift of having less resources, and so having to be more discerning and gentle, because I just don't have the energy at the moment to just push on through like I used to. And whilst that's frustrating in some ways because it's making me change my behaviours, it is such a good thing if you can surrender into it, which we'll get to in a second.
We'll get to that. But listening to you, it makes me think of like life summer. So that would be like in our 30s, 20s and 30s. They say pitch yourself in your late 20s, or for that matter, in ovulation, which is another kind of menstrual summer, where everything is possible, where you can do anything, where you're bounteous and the world is bounteous. And sometimes that's too much. Sometimes when you don't have that, when you can't, for whatever reason, identify that focus, it's a horrible place to be, with so much and
it's too much.
It's not a video, is it? Well, what do I do with it?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I guess I want to zoom out because for people that are not used to the menstruality concept and the seasons of life, can we start there? And then I want to talk about what difference your writing on the psychological phases is. But before we get to that, let's talk about, you've already mentioned you're in your second spring. You've talked about the summer of our lives. So can you give us, I know it's a lot, but a bird's eye view of how the seasonal concept of menstruality works?
I mean, I've been a therapist for more than 30 years, and I've done a lot of theory, and not much of it has made much sense to me. I mean, I've, in terms of really, really feeling it in my body. Yeah. But the seasons because it's intuitive and it just operates in the world all the time. So it's the process where we gradually expand our attention out into the world in spring and summer, and want to become more engaged in the world, increasingly. And then autumn and winter, we want to become more engaged with ourselves, with our inner world. Yes. And that very simply is that following the seasons. And this operates in the menstrual cycle, and that's where I really dived into this seasonal view with Alexandra Pope and Shani Hugo Wurlitzer at Red School. Yes. So for them, the spring is post-menstruation, coming into summer with ovulation. The premenstruum is autumn, and winter is menstruation. So you have this natural expansion and contraction. And contraction. In our world, the spring summer has all the shiny medals and the awards and the crowns, and that is what is appreciated in our patriarchal systems, because we are productive and helpful and kind and can bear children. Yeah, and you can squeeze out a few extra humans. Squeeze out and take care of them. In theory, yes. All that. So you have the capacity to do that. And in autumn and winter, not so much, because our
Yeah.
attention comes back to ourselves. So that's when women who are socialized, well, when people who are socialized as female have their attention drawn back to themselves. This is not a popular thing.
Yes.
Because then we drop the mask, essentially.
And we're less available to take care of everyone else that we've been conditioned to take care of. That's certainly been
so for anybody struggling with their premenstruum, there are many ways to frame it, but what I would say was one way to reframe it would be as a corrective from all the emotional labor that you've been doing.
Yes. I just did an interview with someone, and what you're talking about is really, really cementing something that we were talking about, which is this sacred rage. And yes, premenstruum doesn't necessarily mean rage, but certainly, has been associated with a higher emotional, I guess more extremes of high emotion. And we were talking about the fact that this is for a purpose. It rises to be burnt away to then go into the next cycle. And as I'm hearing you speak, I'm like, this makes so much sense. All these layers and layers of awareness. This is the reason that, and I was just saying to you before we started recording, I don't know how I came across Second Spring, but years and years ago, I did a traditional Chinese medicine study. And so I've always loved, because I began as a medical scientist, like a biologist in medical systems. So very, we treat the heart separate to the kidneys, separate to and we don't talk about the emotions at all, God forbid, not in the 90s anyway. And then I went on my own journey and I studied a lot of traditional Chinese medicine and also Oriental psychology. And so when I saw your book and I was like, whoa, okay, does she mean spring like we talk about in traditional Chinese medicine? And I think my frame of reference for perimenopause was about mostly it being an inconvenience and discombobulating and messy and a bit frustrating because I can't keep on operating at the sort of bandwidth that I have been. And I was starting to wonder, as we all do when we're struggling against something, it's like, is there another way of looking at this? And then I read your book at Christmas time and I've got so many pages earmarked, I may as well just, earmarked the whole thing. In the book, you talk about the psychological phases that we go through in perimenopause, or you actually use the term menopause for the process from reproductive to non-reproductive. Do you want to actually tell us why? Because that's a reference point as well, I think, because, a lot of the world is talking about perimenopause, but
I think
we don't have to.
Well, I'm still not very sure about. I use the word menopause for the whole process of change because that includes this. Because I'm speaking of the possibility for emotional growth, for psychological growth.
Yes.
So to divide that up into, in the UK, just to be clear, perimenopause means around menopause. So that could be anything from 38 with a natural menopause.
Yes.
And menopause is a year after your period. So that's the medical definition that we use. But that says nothing about symptoms, emotional symptoms that come and go. So so I use menopause for the whole thing. Yeah.
So when we say menopause in this interview, what we're meaning is the entire transition process.
The whole
so it's
process.
Like we've grabbed a big net and put it around everything. Yeah. Before you go down the track of explaining the phases, I really want to come back to what you just said about we're not broken. And I want to read something from your website because I also read this and I was like, I cannot wait to do this interview. You say, just in case you were wondering, you do not need improving. You are not a fixer-upper. I believe that even when you feel terrible, you can still find your way to live contentedly and creatively. Often what we need is to rest, soothe our nervous systems, to get quiet enough to be able to listen to our intuition and really hear what our bodies need. I just feel like you've just put a little, I don't know, hot water bottle against my soul. That's what that made me feel like.
I have this piece of paper down here. I wrote this the other day, and I injured myself.
Oh no!
Hit the other. Oh no, not in a serious.
No, okay, good.
The other day, and I was, and it healed quite quickly. And I was observing my process with it, and I went. So I wrote this little flow diagram, and he went pain, freak out, blame other, blame self, outsource wisdom, i.e., frantically text people, who was that amazing massage therapist you told me about? You fixed your Google. Then it goes, take responsibility, like, oh, right, with my own toolkit.
Yes.
Change small things.
Yeah.
Heal.
Yes. You've just solved the problems of the world. I feel like we could just drop the mic and walk away.
Well, that and obviously sometimes, that sometimes it's not like that. But I think in general, that is very often what we do. And sometimes we need more information and we need different kinds of holding. But the blame bit, our starting point is from that we are broken and something bad has happened and we are wrong and dysfunctional in some way.
Yes.
And then we outsource we outsource people to tell us why we're dysfunctional. Why? Tell me how I'm broken.
Yes. And please
tell me why I'm so terribly, terribly broken.
Yes. And then you fix me, and then it will be your fault when it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if it doesn't work.
So we look to see that judgment in the world, and of course that doesn't work until we can go, okay.
And that's why I feel the lens that you give in Second Skin, my goodness, not Second Skin.
Do you have one spare?
Do you know what? What is Second Skin? Is it the same as in Australia? Second Skin is like burn, like jelly stuff that you put over burns. Yeah, when I worked at least it was in the early 2000s. Anyway, that's beside the point. In Second Spring, when I read it, it really, really brought home to me that everything I was experiencing was expected, or within the realms of what can happen. You share a lot of stories in the book, which I absolutely love because I really think that we learn through stories, we connect through stories, we think, oh, I'm not broken. This is someone else's experience too. So that was a gift. And I think the biggest thing is I finished the book, and I remember I was at the beach. I finished the book and I closed it and I thought, right then, so this is all for a purpose, and it is the natural cycle of things. And I'm in the middle of it. And yes, sometimes it feels uncomfortable, but there was a beautiful, a sense of relief for me. And I just would love for you to share the 4 stages that you talk about as far as the psychological stages, because, and then I'm going to actually ask you about the 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but let's go through the stages first.
Yeah.
Phases, sorry.
Actually, before we do the phases, I should say that the seasons that we spoke about of the menstrual cycle also operate in our lives. So you would feel the spring in your teens of exploring and discovering, and from your first period, tiptoeing out into the world to discover who you are, and your sort of late 20s, 30s, and more summery. So that's very much concerned with seeing yourself, your effect in the world, whether it's, ambition to push through glass ceilings, or job titles, or projects, or social change, or babies, human babies, or other kinds of babies, or create, whatever it is, to see your essence appreciated in the world.
Yeah.
And then, obviously that's a very kind of applauded a place where we can receive a lot of applause.
Yeah.
And then autumn is perimenopause. So as we talked about earlier, then our attention comes into ourself. So there's often a big how can I say? It's like, when you're falling asleep and you have that sudden, I like apnea. Is it apnea? Is that what it is?
It's actually it's called a hypnagogic jerk. I used to be a sleep scientist, so there you go. There's your little weird.
A hypnagogic jerk. You have one of those.
Hypnagogic, yeah.
Perimenopause can be like that, because you go from thinking, I've got this, yeah, I can do it, I can juggle all the balls, I can spin the plates all at the same time
with your feet.
Okay, just 6 months more and I will be, filling the dots.
Yes.
And then there's the hypnagogic jerk of perimenopause, and the plates all fall and we feel like we failed.
That's so true.
Yeah, and you can see it in people, and everybody uses language like the rug was pulled out from underneath me. I don't feel like myself anymore. Yeah. I don't know who I am. Identity starts to shift.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just to dignify that, it's really frightening.
Yeah.
Because we have spent, 30 years, 35 years building this persona.
Yes.
Which is suddenly under threat. So there's a real existential threat there.
It's a crisis, definitely.
It's a crisis. And it's the beginning of coming back into yourself and putting yourself as the focus.
Yeah.
The first focus.
I'm interested to know, when you said before your ego is not so brittle now, would you agree that part of the process we go through in this transition is, I won't say the death of the ego, because I actually don't think that that's achievable, but it's a surrendering of some of the things that our ego is attached to?
I think something, yeah, I would agree. I think lots of things happen, and a lot of it is to do with things like really practical things like brain fog.
Yeah.
When you're standing up and presenting and you don't have the word for the thing, and you just can't function in the way that you used to. And often it comes in the form of falling out of love with things that you were passionate with, and that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, absolutely. Or finding one of the things that and this is why I've reemerged back into entrepreneurship for round 2. I just did not give two hoots about the things that I used to be very passionate about professionally. And I was just like, I just don't give a flying ruts, you know what? And I was just like, oh, okay. So who am I now? What do I do?
So if not that, so there's this, and then we're in and this is called, well, here we are talking about phases. This is called a phase of separation.
Yes.
So it's kind of an autumnal feeling, and there's the first phase of menopause. It's called separation.
Mm-hmm.
And this is massive gap. There's this massive gap between, you know that you don't give a rat's ass about the thing in work that you're passionate with, but you don't yet know what you are passionate. And here you are in the middle. You're just kind of like, what?
Yes.
What?
And it kind of feels like you're trying to go from one trapeze to the other, but the next trapeze hasn't quite appeared yet. And so you're hanging on for grim death, but you know damn well that your grip is, you're just about to fall into the abyss.
This is very, very frightening unless you have a framework of without this seasonal cycle, because spring always comes.
And do you when I read your book, so many things made sense to me. So first of all, biologist by training, but I was completely blindsided. I missed the memo about menopause, like completely. I just wasn't even in my awareness at all. And so I turned 47, and the first things that I really noticed was really big mood swings, like just, from rage to crying. And I had a lot of stress as well, which, obviously the invitation is there. How many of these plates can I really hold? But I had several like big fork in the road moments where I was very clear that I could not mother in the way that I used to. So I had really clear conversations / heated discussions with both of my daughters about things that I just wasn't available for anymore. And I left a job and all of those things. Do you see that that's a pattern in separation as well, that people are just like, I can't.
Yeah, pretty much universally, yes.
Yeah. And
Normal.
this is a sense of relief that I get when I'm reading books like yours and when I'm having these conversations. And I had a group coaching call for something that I lead this morning, and I was saying about being blindsided because I just didn't have the awareness. It wasn't, it wasn't on my windscreen at all. And the other lady's saying the same thing. And we're all the same age. And I'm like, how is this possible that we don't know these things? Which is why I decided to create a podcast about exactly this, because it's like, how? I was a bit embarrassed, actually, to be honest. I was like, how did I not know this was coming for me? And I think part of that, I hope that it's changing with all of the menstruality, like the, work of people at Red School. But my mum I don't remember my mum talking about. In fact, I'm pretty sure my mother had a hysterectomy, which she's never actually said out loud to me. But I feel like there was nothing discussed. I had no reference point. I'm an only child. I didn't have like sisters coming ahead of me or anything. So that kind of, I think when you don't know that some of these things can happen, like you said, it's like it is really, really discombobulating is what I keep on saying. It's I just didn't know what to make of
anybody
things.
who's listening, I would like to suggest that if you're feeling lost, that's a positive sign, because it indicates that you're moving away from what has been into something unknown. So it's great. It hurts like hell, but it's great. And the same is true for if things are really messy.
Yeah.
Or one of my particular favorites, this is for me, is longing. I'm a bit like a kid with my face,
pressed against the window,
against the sweet shop. Going, I don't have a penny for a sweet, and there's all the rich children. About life in general.
Yeah.
Again, it's I'm kind of taking the piss, but there's something a longing for something bigger, a longing for something more. There's something human and growthful in that. I think, in all these things. And we've all had this process before in different ways. We've all had a relationship end. We've all finished a job. We've all had heartbreak. We've all had new starts. And you can look back into your life at different times when these transitions have happened, where you were feeling really good, and then the relationship went down the pan, and your world ended, and you didn't know what you were doing, and you couldn't survive without this other person, and la 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 la, and then you recovered, and and then you found a different way of being. Yeah, we've done that before, so it's not new. It's just longer and unknown.
Yes. Yeah. And it is a very similar feeling, like when you said rug pulled out from underneath you. That's when you frame it like that, yes, we have all had times in our lives when we've gone through those, like, whoa, I did not see that coming, and it's changed everything, and having to reinvent or come back to ourselves and go, okay, well, how do I deal with this? When we feel into separation, do you reckon that's the phase? Like, I'm not expecting you to be a divorce whisperer, but do you think that's the phase where people can, that's it, I'm out?
Because you have all that feeling and all that mess, and you cannot bear what doesn't fit. It's unbearable.
Yeah. Again, a gift though. This is, like, I really, really want people to hear this, that, rather than going, oh, perimenopause, it's like, yes, undeniably, messy, discombobulating, all the things that we've talked about, but also with the deep blessings of growth and coming home to yourself.
And there are many gifts in this, because in this autumnal separation place of being very aware of your own needs, you know what the truth is, you know what suits you, or at least you know what doesn't. You're good at your capacity to make boundaries becomes like a superpower.
Yes, that has definitely been something that's very clear to me.
How much you can do, and how many times have you had somebody on your on your DMs going, oh, could you I've had this thing, could you just, and you're like, no. So we have that awareness of capacity, and these are all really fantastic gifts.
So
and
good.
Through that, if and when we can, as that thing from my website says, when we can quieten all the rackets, all the critical voices inside us, then we get really good access to our intuition in a way that we just can't in our spring and summer, because we're so busy
doing.
Tra-la-la.
Yeah. Well, and so busy being outward, and now we're turning inwards. Something else that I thought was really beautiful for me to understand about my own journey, and also to help certainly a couple of friends of mine, that this non-linear journey through these phases as well. So when we're thinking about the autumnal stage, it's not like there's a line in the sand and we step over it and we're in the next phase. That there's certainly this sort of like 1 foot in this phase, 1 foot in this phase. And I almost feel a little bit like 1 step forward, a couple of steps back, maybe a jump sideways, then that type of thing. Do you feel like that's normal? A lot of the stories in your book talk about that sort of concept of feeling.
So moving from separation, we come into the phase of surrender. So this is a place where we have somehow managed, probably because we're a bit slower, probably because we've put in some boundaries in place, so things are a bit quieter.
Yes,
we can be more accepting of what's happening. So it's the difference between with my injured hip, me furiously marching down the road to circuit class,
furiously.
I will do separation, to staying at home and doing some stretches and listening to my hip.
Yeah, being gentle,
taking the time. So it's about there are places where we bring kindness, and that is the essence of surrender. It's kindness, self-love, self-compassion.
Yeah.
And when we've filled up with enough of that, we can move into emergence, which is where our energy starts to rise again. And emergence is all about receiving.
Yes.
About receiving information, receiving ideas, about allowing ourselves to be filled. And that, because women know all about that, right?
Yes. That's kind of how we're designed.
And then that moves into second spring. So there's this nice map. It's a nice psychological map, and it will progress neatly from like slices of cake along the. Of course, humans, exactly as you say, it's when we have feet in all camps, often like a sort of little dance before breakfast. And probably but for myself, when I look back, so I'm 57, so when I look back in my kind of mid 40s to early 50s, I can kind of think, oh yeah, I can kind of see that bit. Those years were kind of separation, and this was more surrender, and I can see that emergence vibe going on there. But day to day, of course, I'm like, okay, I've got to push through. I've got to eat my breakfast really fast because I've got to go out and do this, that. And
Yeah.
I don't care that it hurts and I'm limping along and really exhausted. And then maybe I can wake up at 10 o'clock. I mean, maybe I can become alert at 10 o'clock to the fact that I'm in pain and limping, and that I need to actually slow down, and maybe I can cancel the appointment after lunch and create some more space and exhale and kind of feel into what would be really nice. Maybe plan a half day out to myself at the weekend. And then someone comes along and says, I've made this dinner for you. Would you like it? And I'm like, no, I can't have that on Thursday. There's emergence being firmly pushed away. And, it's just like daily life. We move between these things. Yeah. And, the other side of that is that you already have spring in you. You already have that because it's already there. It's because of the way we're encoded with a menstrual cycle,
yes,
with the moon cycle, with the circadian rhythm. You already know about this.
Yeah. So good. So good, so good. I'm curious to know, because one of the things that I really wanted to ask you in terms of your own journey, and you touched on it a little bit then, when you look back, so were you as aware of these phases when you were going through them, or is this work been kind of building in your awareness in the post-menopausal?
I kind of dived into the Red School work when I was in separation. So I had sort of cognitive understanding beforehand,
yes,
which is very different to embodied
very
understanding.
Yes.
And yeah, I was training when I was in separation, and that there's a sort of delicious irony to that, because of course I was in separation, so I had no language for it.
Yeah.
I was so kind of inward and kind of in myself and unwilling to be out there, or had such different, I'm self-employed. I had to be out there to some extent, but it was so kind of scratchy and uncomfortable when I wasn't really able to articulate it. So it was really, really over time, and essentially as I've come out into second spring, that I found the language that I could see more. I had a better
One thing I wanted to ask you as well, which is kind of connected, your background is in fashion originally, like your original training is in fashion, which you can totally see on your website, and the way, all of the cool outfits. I'm like, oh my God, I wish I had a tenth of this fashion sense. And then in 1992 or so, I think it is, you go and study Reiki. And
oh my God, you actually read my website.
You're
probably the only person on the planet.
No, because I'm interested in the calling to this depth of the work, because to me, when I'm reading through all of the things that you've studied, like you did holistic massage, then you did womb massage, then you did abdominal massage. So it's always, or it seems, at least to me, to have always had this thread of accessing our body's wisdom and helping women to understand their body's wisdom and the care of that. And then later on you do, I think it's womb yoga, and then Yoga Nidra is something that you're very much a firm, not believer in, that's not the right way of saying it, but, that's one of the key things that you talk about in the book, and this deep rest. So can you tell us a little bit more about, like, you started in fashion and you get some sort of inkling to go down a slightly different route, or is it connected? I don't know. I'm assuming
it's all about me. It's all about me, darling. Obviously, it's all about me.
We teach what we most need to learn.
Because I think I was in my mid to late 20s and feeling like, so kind of coming into Saturn return and going, well, is that all there is? Really?
Yeah,
that's what it was. So I sort of tootled off, really, to heal the disconnection that I felt with myself, and to know I wasn't into sort of the divine feminine or women's work when I was in my 20s, but I was very uncomfortable with femininity, with what this woman business meant. I had no desire for children because I could see what was happening to people who had, like, why would you do that? You just gave your life away.
Yeah, exactly.
None of the models worked for me, and I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. So all that sort of chain of work through body psychotherapy and womb stuff, that was what that was about. It's not about me.
It to me, when I look at the pathway, it's like, oh, this is all always meant to unfold. And something that you talk about in the book, part of, I think it's emergence, I might not be right about that, but you talk about this deeper calling to something as well. And I was interested to see whether the depth of the work around menopause and I guess earlier menstruality feels like that deeper calling for you as a result of that?
I think I'm uniquely placed in that I can write, and I have this sort of background with the deep psychological embodied work of cycles, and I can communicate it.
Yeah.
So there are very many people who do this sort of cycle work. There are increasing quantities. In fact, fans, you can get a diploma in menstrual cycle awareness for £29.
Oh, good Lord.
Here we go. Here we bloody go. So yes, if you're looking for a professional, check their training.
Well, it's all the rage too. I was talking to someone else who's she's a healer and cycle facilitator, and she works with womb healing. But she said in her interview she's almost embarrassed to say that she's a womb healer because it's such a Insta famous thing at the moment. And I'm like, well, I guess you'll be attracting the people that, they do want the depth of experience. They do want the layered support. They do want to feel completely safe. And I personally would not think that a $29 course would lend that to me.
I guess the $29 course is an indication of zeitgeist. It's it's on the top of the way. It's in a summer. This work is in a summer place.
Very much so. Yeah.
But I have the depths, but also the capacity to communicate it without the woo. I was very grateful to my editors because they de-woo-wooed the book.
Yeah, well, that's what I love about it, because the scientist in me, I've come a long way from that way of looking at things, but the scientist in me still wants things to feel grounded and practical and, which actually leads me to my next question. You talk a lot. In fact, the subtitle of this second spring is The Self-Care Guide to Menopause. Can we talk a little bit about some of the really simple self-care for each of the phases, or overall, whichever speaks to you more? Because I really love that you're giving people practical things that they can do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it has to be practical, doesn't it? I mean,
well, otherwise people don't do it. And or they're paying thousands of dollars to work with someone who'll do it for them because they're looking to be fixed. Yes.
Yeah. And well, first of all, you already know what you need to do if you're listening. You already know, really. The first step is to track in some way. So I do like paper and pen because
me too.
It puts you in charge of what you're tracking. So apps, I don't use tracking apps, but what I hear is that you can track them the app essentially tells you what is important about your body and takes control and tells you. Whereas if you have a journal or a circular chart or something, then you can decide whether you're going to track sleep or mood or period pain or whatever is important to you. And when you can track that through the months, you can then see whether how much coffee you can drink.
Yeah, exactly. What effect does that have? It's not a
question. I mean, if you bottom line is cut the crap and eat more good stuff.
Yeah.
And that is true of food. That is true of relationships. That is true of exercise. That is true of the chemicals in your home, everything.
Yep.
But of course that's too enormous. So if I can't emphasize enough the importance of tracking.
Yeah.
And then you can see, well, if I have 2 cups of coffee, do I come out in a hot sweat and completely collapse? Or can I get away with that? Or is it sugar? Or is it alcohol? Or what's going on here? And then you can make decisions about how you manage that stuff, or seeing particular friends, or because another thing that happens is that and that self-care is also not spending time with people who drain you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And self-care is essentially what makes you feel safe. So that might also be, so practical, doing your taxes in time.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Checking your bank. Really, a lot of self-care is really, I was thinking about this the other day, it's so bloody tedious. It's really tedious.
Absolutely.
going to bed at the same time. It's making sure that you cancel the direct debit fee for that, whatever it's for the screening service you don't use, or and all that comes to contain you. Whatever contains you, what helps you to feel safe.
I love that description. I've just locked back in. No, but this is good though. That's why I liked the book, because it wasn't this huge, like, oh, I've got to. And I think for me, like, I've always been aware of all of these essential things that make me feel most like myself. And yet I still go through cycles where I forget and the wheels fall off a bit. And then I look back and go, oh, I know that I can't have. And actually, one of the things that I'm becoming really aware of tracking is that I can't have coffee just before I bleed. Like, it just screws with my sleep. And so I'm like, okay, so if you want to keep drinking coffee, that's fine, but do it in the first 3 weeks of your cycle, because that's what works right now. And next week, maybe it won't. Who knows?
I can only imagine how delicious that post-bleed coffee must be. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. And you know what? One of my best friends I live in a little country town, and one of my really good friends, Maria, owns the local cafe. And on that morning, I'm there at 4:30 when she's there baking things. I'm like, and I sit out. Well, it's still nice and cool at that time of the day, even though it's summer in Queensland. So I sit out at the table and I have it in a proper cup, not a takeaway. And I enjoy the crap out of that coffee more than I ever have when I could have it all the time. And I think that comes back to one of the blessings, right? It's and simple things for me at the moment, like going to bed at 9:30, not working over this time or before that time, making sure that I have 3 balanced meals a day, including grounding food. I don't do well if I don't have grounding food at the moment. That's something, my energy gets.
That was new information for me relatively recently in my life, that I need much more protein than I thought.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. So important. And just simple things like that. But it is so different for everyone. So that's what I really love what you're saying. Don't put the power outside of yourself. Bring the power back home. How do I feel the most supported? I just love self-care makes you feel safe. That's such a simple.
I think that's a good guide. Do I want to? Because it can get confusing because we feel that we have to be. It can be a bit of a to-do list, can't it? I have to be exercising, and I haven't done it this time. So what would, I think that's quite a good sort of guide. So what would make me feel safer here? Would I feel safer if I did this or that? What is the felt sense in myself?
Yeah, I just love that. Something I wanted to visit on with the self-care end of things too, because you use Yoga Nidra so much, I really wanted to ask, like, there's so many people that say to me, I'm so tired or exhausted or fatigued, like the big tired, like we're not talking garden variety tiredness, we're talking, big exhaustion. What would you say to people like that about taking rest, taking pause, using tools like Yoga Nidra? Hey, gorgeous. We interrupt this gold for a delicious invitation. If your whole body has been whispering more lately, more voice, more truth, more satisfaction, more clients of the soulmate variety, more cash, more you, then this invitation is for you. Potent, my sister mind is officially open. This is my high touch, holy fuck, I'm ready sister mind for rebels in good girl clothing who are done outsourcing their power and diluting their magic to fit into someone else's business formula. If you have been craving a space where your strategy, your voice, and your energy all get to be offered, honored, refined, and amplified, this is it. Inside of Potent, you'll get my eyes on your business every single week, copy mentoring, and that is for brand copy and content storytelling that turns your truth into client catnip, energetic recalibration that helps you unhook old learned limitation patterns, keeping you quiet, not being seen, not being heard, real-time, high-touch, one-on-one coaching that actually sees the bigness of your vision, and the kind of sisterhood that does not flinch when you show up in your full, messy, brilliant, phoenix rising from the ashes glory. This isn't surface level support. It's deep, potent, paradigm shifting work that changes who you are as a woman in business and a woman in life. We start in August. Early open access is open right now. For the month of June 2025, inside of this early access open doors period, you will receive juicy bonuses, extended payment plans, and access immediately to my entire library of storytelling gold. You'll find all the juicy details at kyliepatchett.com/potent. And we fill spaces, and there's only 10 of them, and more than likely only 5 by the time you listen to this, because by that time I will have offered them to the existing cohort, the beautiful original OG circle. We do actually take applications on a first come, first served basis. So come and apply, and let's get back to the magic of the episode.
Yeah, it's subtle, I think. I think that we need to recalibrate with the circadian rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not only a question of resting. If it was only a question of resting, then we could just lie down if we could give ourselves permission to do that. But often exhaustion, I mean, obviously there are many situations and reasons why somebody might be exhausted.
Of course, yeah.
But quite often we also have to incorporate some upregulation into it so that we can relax. So particularly with people who are more prone to anxiety states, or like tired and wired type states, where everything is very, very tight. And I have to now I have to lie down for a yoga nidra.
I'm so relaxed.
Rigid, twitching, going, okay, 10 minutes, right, only 5 minutes more.
Do you know, I only just figured out, probably about, 8 months ago now, was diagnosed with ADHD. And one of the things that in my reading about ADHD is about how not my brain, but it certainly is borne out to be the case with me as well. Often people with ADHD need to do the exercise first, then meditate. And I remember, like in my 20s, when I first went to yoga regularly, and my yoga teacher used to say, "You monkey mind." And I would be like, I can't do this. Like it was so, you used the term scratchy before, like it was so uncomfortable to me. But my preferred routine now is get out first thing in the morning, particularly when it's so blinking hot, like you can't go out at lunchtime and move your body. Go out, walk the dogs in nature, get a bit of sunlight, come back, and I can do breath work and meditation or yoga nidra, like whatever feels lush, so easily. But it took me ages to work that out. And I spent my entire 20s and 30s trying to do it the hard way. And I'm just like, if you do struggle to quieten your mind, take Kate's advice and move, get some energy flowing and moving first.
The rest, yoga nidra, it saw me through my menopause, and I'm passionate about it, but it doesn't suit everyone. So
no, true.
It's interesting to look at what feels restful for you. And so by restful, I mean, what brings you into that calmer mind state, whether your internal voice is a bit quieter or a bit more manageable.
Yeah.
There's softness in your shoulders and in your jaw. And what is that thing? And that might be folding laundry. That might be colouring. Walking the dogs, or it might, who knows what it is. But you are probably already doing a bit of it, or used to. And that is the thing that I would encourage you to do more of in your life and create rest. Because again, we're sort of calling in, what is it called? Emergence.
Yes.
Emergence qualities here. What fills you up?
Yeah.
What could you receive for yourself, what could fill you.
Mm.
And I think that is part of the exhaustion piece, that because it's all very well resting or, I don't know, eating nutrient dense food, but if we can't really absorb it,
Yes,
biologically or psychologically, then we can't contain it, we can't hold it for ourselves.
Yeah. I love the word nourishing. When you're talking, I'm, nourishing ourselves, but also coming back to the concept of safety. It's that calming of the nervous system. I mean, that's a bit of a buzzword at the moment too. Everyone's talking about nervous system and vagal toning and blah, blah, blah. But really what we're just talking about is helping your body to feel safer. That's really, to me, what, nervous system calming feels like, which makes me want to ask in the book, and again, I may not get this right. I think it is in Surrender. You talk a little bit about healing of old wounds. And you also raise the point that potentially if you have, significant trauma, that can also be popping to the surface in the same way. Can you explain what you mean by healing of old wounds and that trauma piece as well?
Yeah, well, if you think about biologically, if you think about the hormones shifting, so the progesterone and the estrogen fluctuating around, that this is what creates this sort of the instability that we feel. And
I'm like, whoa. No one can see us, but anyway.
Obviously, non-verbal podcasting, lots of noises. That and it also creates sensitivity.
Yes.
So people often come to me and talk about, say, oh, this issue is up again. The issue with my mother is up again. I thought I'd healed it. I've been in therapy for X years and I've sorted it out. And here it is again. And, there's an unspoken judgment about having failed to do enough or something, or, whatever. But because of the shifting hormones, because of this sensitivity, and because with a seasonal lens, we are dumping the ship before we move on to the new cycle.
Yes,
like
exactly.
We were talking about the sacred rage earlier, linking back to that. These things return for examination, for another exploration, really.
Yeah.
To heal another layer. And there's in this surprisingly toxic wellness world, there's so many people who will promise you complete healing.
Oh, for goodness sake!
And you will be empowered and there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that stuff around, and it just doesn't fit with what I notice about humans.
No.
So we get more chances to go, oh, hello, old wound.
Yeah. And it's a spiral, right? Like it's spiral. I don't think that's linear, and I don't think there is an end. And I certainly have experience, and that was something else that was such a sense of relief when I was reading the book. You actually just explained exactly what has been going on for me. So I have a big mother thing, been doing, decades and decades and decades and decades of excavation and healing. And yet just recently it's really strongly come to the surface. But to me, it has felt like exactly what you're saying. It's like the final, not the final, because that again says that there's an end, but this very strong test of, are you really done with this in terms of setting a boundary and taking care of yourself, or will you perpetuate a pattern that's not helpful? And to me, that was actually, again, a blessing, where I was just like, no, I'm actually really done. Like I'm very, very done. So it was kind of part separation, but also this clarity of like, I'm almost 50. I don't want to be doing this when I'm 70 or however, Something else that's popping to the surface again, because when you were saying about the healing end of things, Chiron return astrologically happens between about 50 and 52. I wonder whether there's a bit of a flavour of that as well. I am just about to re-interview a lovely lady called Sarah Wilder, who does a lot of human design, but very deep astrological stuff. And she actually emailed me the other day and said, I really want to come back on the show because I've got this other layer of awareness around the Chiron, like all of the different, return points. So you said about Saturn return in your late 20s. So yeah, I wonder whether there's something there.
There's something. I think there is something. There's menopause as a psychological event, and there's something that happens in midlife as well. I think I don't understand. I will listen out for that episode, because I'm very curious as to if you have menopause earlier in your life, in your teens or 20s or 30s, do you still have that same cataclysmic personal growth?
I don't know.
Or does it then wait until, do you then have some other psychological event happening when you're 50?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very interested to speak to her again, because I had a human design reading with her. We talked briefly about the Chiron return. I know when it is. So mine's the 24th of April next year. My husband's is actually this April. And both of us have it in what's called in human design the gate of shock. So it's often like something big. And I'm like, really? Both of us? Really? Come on. Could I not have it in the gate of love or the gate of self-acceptance or something like that? But
have you put it in your diary?
Yeah, I'm like, well, pretty much. I'm like, oh, we've got 2 more months. But I guess I'm not at all an expert in human design or astrology. The little bit of reading that I've done, though, is it's almost like the Chiron return it's like the crescendo of this is your big chance to heal this, like, Chiron being the wounded healer. So it's actually a chance of a greater depth of healing, I kind of get. So yes, I won't get obsessed with the gate of shock. I will. My intention is to just to learn more about myself, Kate.
I think that we also meant talking about trauma.
Yes.
Trauma, to delineate between small t trauma, which is what we've been talking about, and big T trauma, which would be PTSD, complex PTSD, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And this can also be re-triggered in this gateway, in the gateway of menopause. So to really, again, come into what can make me feel safe during this time.
Yeah.
And whether that's trusted professionals, all the nutrition and the movement and the circadian connection and the connection to earth and all the things that you already know help you, and to really double down on that.
Yeah. I keep on thinking about the self-care for me as like a non-negotiable prescription to help stabilize my foundation. And that's kind of what I'm hearing you saying as well. It's like, what are all the things that I know that create this sense of safety? And I think a very big thing is, we were talking about in our call today, people that are newly, like one lady this morning said, I'm allergic to people, like very uncomfortable in supermarkets or shopping centres, very uncomfortable being in a car with a lot of cars around her. Like this is this increased sensitivity. And we were talking about just giving yourself permission to not put yourself in those situations if and when you can influence it, obviously. So it's coming back to that sense of safety. Like you may have been able to do that and now you cannot, for the time being at least.
Driving reminds me of people having anxiety and panic attacks in cars is pretty common.
Yes.
Not being able to drive on motorways. I mean, so common. So many people have that.
I actually just saw something on social media about that, where there's so many people saying, oh my God, I thought it was just me. That it's just like newfound anxiety about driving, particularly long distances and particularly like fast, like motorways or whatever.
And if we think about that, and with this seasonal wheel, then of course, hurtling through space very fast away from home.
It's not natural when you think about it.
No.
I'm in a metallic egg with wheels going very fast. Yeah, exactly. Makes no sense. As we're talking about sensitivity, I'm actually playing with them at the moment, but a friend of mine who's a chiro just put me onto these little
I've been
earplugs.
curious about what that is.
Yeah. So I only just got them today, which is why I'm quite obsessed. Ooh. These are called loop earplugs. So they're, I don't know if you can see that very well, but they look like an earplug, but they've got a little loop and it holds it very firmly in your ear. They block out everything. And one of the things that I really notice at the moment is I'm hypersensitive to sound to the point where it's scratchy. And this is a very new thing. Like I usually can just focus and stay focused. And because I'm doing a lot of writing at the moment, these have been an absolute godsend. So if you're listening and noise sensitivity is a scratchiness for you, look up Loop. They've got all different. There's ones that you can use just to filter out just the background noise, but still be able to hear a conversation. I just got the ones called Quiet. And then there's also ones that you can buy that you can change how much sound they filter out depending on the little attachment. Like my mind is blown. They're very affordable. And yes, I should be a spokesperson.
Because again, noise sensitivity, really common.
Yeah.
Really.
Massive. And there's just been, although it was funny because I was in a business mastermind and I was in a call and we were each doing a different thing, beavering away, and then we were supposed to be coming back in to kind of report in, and I look up and everyone's like waving at me. I'm like, oh, sorry, I thought I had my headphones in for the microphone, but I had my loop things and I couldn't hear. I was beavering away quite happily. But yeah, just little things like that, and another thing that I've done, because as a background of a sleep scientist, like all the good sleep hygiene, I'm quite obsessive about that because my sleep was really rocked around early on. And getting a really good eye mask that blocks out every single bit of light in your room, because my husband is a firefighter. He's on call. He's quite often on his phone checking things. So, blue light at 2:00 in the morning is one of the worst things that you can do for your circadian rhythm. Now I'm going to go to sleep with my loop earplugs and my perfect mask. I'll be in a sensory deprivation state, but I just sleep so much better. So yeah, little tiny things like that have made a massive difference to me. So
and brilliant. I think also what I'd like to pull out from your story is consistency as well. We want the pill to work quick sticks, and actually we have to keep doing it.
That's actually a perfect segue to something else I wanted to ask. Before I read your book, and I also read Wise Power from the ladies at Red School at the same time, I had this sense that I just wanted this to be done. And so if our listeners are similar to impatient me and they're just like, can I just rush through this?
Everybody wants it to be done.
What wisdom? Yeah, exactly. For fuck's sake, I want this to be done right now. I want to tick the box and move on. What would you say to someone listening who their sense is, I just want to get to the other side?
Okay, so here's another reframe for the menopause process as a whole, is that it's training to be a wonderful, mature person, or and ultimately a wonderful old lady. So what kind of old lady do you want to be? And slowly we're thinking about role models. I think I am very keen on spotting role models. I always have my eyes open for sprightly grey and white haired people around me going, what are you doing? Do I like that? How do you do that?
Yeah.
What do I have to do now to get to that place?
Yeah. Do you know, you just made me think of my Nana Said. So my dad was 55 when I was born. So when I was a teenager, he was like in his 70s. And he was in World War II with a gentleman called Doug. And Doug came back, had 5 babies very, very quickly with Nana Said. bless her cotton socks. I love this lady. And then Doug unfortunately died of a heart attack very suddenly. And so my dad became like a surrogate second dad. And so he and my Nana Said were best friends. So every afternoon after school for my entire, like from 10 until, geez, I was still doing it in grade 12, so 17, we would go every afternoon, sit, have a cup of coffee or, you know, bickies or whatever. She was a great baker. But she was an absolute freaking superstar. She had hurt her knee. And back in those days, they used to just fuse the legs straight. Like, don't worry about a knee. We'll just fuse it straight. So she's still in her late 70s. I have heard stories of in Brisbane, which is the town that I grew up in, there used to be these bollards at sort of like waist height, say, I don't know, to stop traffic going somewhere or whatever, in the middle of our mall. And she'd had a few scotches at something, gone out for the evening, had a few scotches, and she was swinging this straight leg over the bollards. And I'm just like, that is the old lady I want to be. Like, I want to be laughing. I want to have a face full of, you know, happy wrinkles. And I want to still be connected to that lighthearted, you know, joyful. And I still want to be having fun. That's what when I see people, the laugh lines and I don't know, the crazy purple hair or whatever, like, I'm like, cool, what are you doing? Can I sit at your feet?
I mean, I that's just such I just love Nana Said.
Yes, we do.
Thank you for that, because that I would love that for all of us.
Yeah.
And if we continue to overwork and overstress,
yes,
and
there's no juice in us.
Nana Said had the advantage of not having the internet.
Yes, that is true.
Living at about a third of the speed that we live.
True, exactly. And also, I look back, like my dad got to 91, Nana Said got to 92, although the last few years with dementia, unfortunately. But every afternoon they connected with their best friend. Every day they ate simple foods made from, you know, either made themselves or, you know, like just simple food. They had a lower stress level. They didn't expect so much pushing, striving, etc. from themselves. They valued family. They spent time creating memories. I was actually just talking yesterday to my kids about Nana Said because her family were Catholic. My family was not. We used to pretend we were Catholic, but we weren't practicing Catholics. So every Friday, because you're not allowed to eat red meat, right, we would have fish and chips at Nana Said's house because then you tick the family box, you tick the Catholic box, you tick, you know. But I have really, really fond memories of, and it was because her house was always welcoming. She had 5 kids and they all had multiple kids. So that, you know, and I think, yeah, exactly what you're saying. Like they made space to have fun because that's how their lives were designed. And I don't think we get to 90 or whatever healthfully if we're not making space for that juice. Like, you know, really like play and pleasure and connection are such soul foods. And I don't know, I think we've forgotten that they're as important as eating well and moving our bodies. So, yeah.
Somehow we've got to this point in the conversation without talking about pleasure.
Yes, let's talk about pleasure because that is actually my final question. So I am a big believer in pleasure. I just wrote a big post about this the other day.
We should have done this in the beginning. Right?
I know. Well, that's all right. That's fine.
Kind of.
It's perfect. It's perfectly perfect.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the blue zones where people live healthfully into their 90s, there is, you know, go look it up. There is a lot to do with pleasure and all the qualities that you've just been naming.
Yep.
Simple pleasures. So pleasure, you know, if you would like a pill to fix everything, then I think pleasure would do it because it's stress. It will make your bones stronger. It improves your immunity. It improves your circulation and your heart and balances your hormones. It does bloody everything.
Yes.
Right. But it seems too small or too something for us to give us very much of it.
But also we've sacrificed it at the feet of achieving or
Productivity, I think.
Productivity, yeah. Yeah. I'm just like, no, I'm sorry if I get to, well, I do get to, but this concept of consciously choosing how I want to live in the second half of my life, I'm like that. And that's why we moved to the country. Like, I'm not from the country, but my husband grows veggies. We have a simple, like, I go to the same coffee shop. I know everyone where I shop. It's a safe place for my girls to have grown up. And all of it's the simple pleasures, simple pleasures, simple pleasures. Like, to me, that's country life, except that we're 3 hours away from the ocean. So that is one drawback. But we are going for 4 days to the ocean tomorrow morning, Kate, for a family holiday. Yeah, I like that. If we're looking for the magic fix.
It's a perfect way to fill yourself up. What is pleasurable for you right now? Could it be? There's always a sense of pleasure somewhere in the body that you can connect with. Always.
Yeah.
Even when you're in pain, there is some place that is pleasurable. It might be the feeling of well, not for you because you're 39 degrees, but for me, it's the feeling of the sock. I have a slightly fluffy socks.
Yes.
And that feels really pleasurable right now. So I can give my attention to that, and that can be really nice. And, as our bodies are changing, our perhaps easier access to arousal and eroticism is not so available now, particularly if you don't want to be near any people.
Yes, well,
it changes the complexion somewhat. So there's also an adventure to be had in finding out how your body feels pleasure and what your body needs to pleasure yourself right now. And that will have changed and will continue to change.
Yes.
So that our first task is to find out for ourselves.
Yeah.
Because otherwise there's no hope of ever being able to communicate it to
You're making me think about, I just did yoga for the stages of menopause training with Neve Daly from Instinct. I don't know if you know Neve, but she's an amazing human. I love her. Love her, love her, love her. And something that she took us through was this process, and I keep forgetting to look up the word because I don't even know what the actual meaning of it is. So apologies if it's not exactly the literal meaning, but she took us through this process of pandiculation, which is really, it is a word because I'm like, did
pandiculation,
yeah. So excuse me. She had us imagine being, in the Bahamas or something, in a luxurious suite. We're looking at the ocean. We're in a king-size bed and there's no one else in there. We've got these beautiful linens and we've just woken up and we have nowhere to be. And imagine moving your body just to access that pleasure of a stretch or a roll or a whatever movement. And I think so often as teachers of yoga, it's about the asana, it's about this. And I've really, really changed my viewpoint of like, just let's juice the pleasure, like the sensation of, and one of the other ladies, when we did our example teaching, she used a pandiculation, which is like, imagine you're a teenage boy and you're just at the fridge and you're like, taking up the space. And that's like a completely different way of moving your body. And I'm like, so simple, but just, being alive and alert, and certainly not thinking that any changes in, the way that we have a desire to experience sexual, sensual, whatever, doesn't mean that all of a sudden the need for pleasure turns off. It's like, it's still there's still a need. Yeah.
It's essential. And if people listening have bringing their older role models to mind, just like yours, they're going to be people whose lives are centered in pleasure in some way, shape, or form.
Oh yeah, she was a big fun star, and she used that as a soothe for, a welcomer, a soother, a distraction, whatever. Like that, it really, pleasure was one of her key ways of taking care of all the people that she loved, but also herself. So, yeah.
And it regulates the nervous system as well.
Yeah. Thank you for waking up that memory in me. I haven't thought about that story.
It's just delicious to hear.
Yeah, it is. She's such a special lady. Such a special lady. I actually found I don't know whether it used to be in the UK, but in Australia, we went through this weird phase of having these naked linen teddy bears that people used to sign at parties. Did you ever have that? It's very odd. Anyway, I found mine the other day, and maybe that's why she's top of mind because, so she's written on his bum specifically. That was part of her, she'd be like, oh, this will be a bit naughty. So maybe that's why she's alive. So good. Kate, I have just immensely enjoyed connecting with you. I feel like I said at the beginning of the call, it's like, oh, the curly-haired glasses people unite. I just really, really want to thank you for the work that you do in the world. You know, one thing that we haven't actually spoken about is all of the things that you offer your clients. So if you can tell people where to find you, but also your one-on-one work, events, Yoga Nidra, etc. And then
I offer a menopause doula service. So it's kind of designed for, it's budget friendly for hard times. So you pay by the month for 12 months and you get 5 long sessions and 5 short sessions. So 5 75-minute sessions and 5 20-minute sessions. And that it acts as a kind of container for your menopause process so that you can use it. I use a practice called the medicine circle where we journey psychologically and in an embodied fashion through the seasons to access your intuition, or it can be Yoga Nidra, or you can just vomit out all the rage, or you can
lance the boil,
or you can do whatever the hell, or we can unpick stuff, or we use the space to do whatever the hell you need to do in order to feel yourself and listen to your inner voice. I hand out permission slips.
Oh, I love that. I love it. Permission to go to the beach for the rest of my life, please, miss.
No, beach for rest of life. Fine. Yeah. Okay, no problem.
Excellent.
So I do that. That's the one-to-one thing. What else do I do? I have a monthly Yoga Nidra.
Yes.
And then you can hire me. So these days, what I do is you can hire me as a facilitator.
I love it.
So
I love it.
So for Australian people, it would be online, obviously, but you just gather a bunch of friends, and I have a set fee, and I can hold space for you as a circle or a workshop or whatever. I can do that. So there's that, and there's online products and all kinds of stuff. There's loads of free stuff as well on my website. In the if you go to the page that says "Start Here,"
yes.
There's a shed load of, it's like a sort of a cupboard of jewels of Yoga
It
Nidra
is.
and
I know, it's like, holy moly, man.
It's like I just kind of put more stuff in there as I go along.
So good.
Something for everyone. There's even a sort of 10-minute seasonal break from work, so you can kind of slump at your desk for 10 minutes.
Put your legs up the wall at your desk. No one will see. No one will notice.
Exactly. So there's lots of stuff there.
And your website is katecodrington.uk, isn't it?
.co.uk.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm Kate_Codrington over on Instagram.
Perfect. And I'll link all that to the show notes as well. It's been such a joy. Thank you for writing Second Spring, because you honestly have helped me to reframe what we're going through in so much more of a positive and purposeful light. So I'm sure that my experience has been not be the only one that has gone through that shift. And I really, really encourage everyone. I've got the link. I've already posted a story about Kate's book with the link to the Aussie Audible version, but you can find it everywhere online. It's called Second Spring: The Self-Care Guide to Menopause by Kate Codrington, and Kate is with a Kate, Codrington, Codrington. It's actually a nice name because it is how it sounds. Nothing tricky, which is good. Thank you so much Thank you for your wisdom, your work in the world, and for the memory of my Nana Said.
Oh, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, it's been beautiful. Thank you. Thanks so much for listening into today's episode. If you love the show, as I hope you do, please take the time to subscribe on your favourite pod listening platform and rate and review. And for bonus points, if you have a friend or someone who popped to mind as you were listening to this episode, why not hit the share link wherever you're listening and send them a little love bomb. Like, listen to this. Did you know this is normal? I really, really, really would love to get these beautiful stories into the hearts and ears and minds of so many more midlife mavens. And your help spreading the love is truly, truly appreciated. Thank you so much. I'm Kylie Patchett, your host, and have a spectacular day.